Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Paige Hulse and I am the attorney behind Paige Hulse Law. At Paige Hulse Law, I work primarily with creative entrepreneurs and online small business owners, and today I am going to be sharing a little bit of information with you about how exactly you go about adding members to your LLC if your LLC has grown from a single member operation to a multi-member operation. So when you filed your LLC in your state, some states require that you list the members or list whether or not you're forming a single member or a multi-member LLC at the time of filing. By listing that would be added into your articles of organization that you filed with the state. So the first step is to check and see if your state is one of the states that requires you to update that information with the state, meaning that you will need to update your articles of organization with the state. Now, not every state requires that, so you might be in the clear there and you can skip on to the next step. So step number 2, and arguably the most important step, you are going to need to look at your operating agreement and see what that operating agreement states about adding members, and you will also need to amend your operating agreement. So I'll start with amending the operating agreement. Again, it varies state by state. Some states may require that you file the operating agreement with the state. If they do, you need to look up those rules and follow along those rules with your state. Now, in my personal state of Oklahoma, which I will speak to today, we don't have to file our operating agreement with the state. That's just something that a lot of banks will require. So usually the bank is the only other governing body who might have a copy of the operating agreement. Usually it's just something that we have in our own personal files. So what you're going to need to do is go in after you've checked with your state. You are going to have to, check of course with your bank and see what their procedures are. And then you're just going to have to simply go into your operating agreement and change all of the wording from a single member LLC to a multi-member LLC. List it'll vary according to what you have specified in that operating agreement, but I want you to list out the members that you have added and the date that you've added them and all of that pertinent information. Once you have updated that information in your operating agreement, if your bank is a bank that requires you to have one, you will need to send that updated operating agreement over to your bank. So again, that's really simple. Now, the second thing I want you to keep in mind, well, I guess the third thing technically, but the second thing when it comes to your operating agreement is I want you to read the operating agreement and actually read the rules that it lays out for what you need to do, what steps you have to take to add a member to your LLC. So most operating agreements, especially if you have one that was drafted by an attorney, is going to lay out the specifications and the rules, kind of the playbook for how you go about adding members to your LLC. That's something that's not governed by the state or anything like that. That's something that will be written in that actual contract that's governing your LLC, otherwise known as the operating agreement. And so that's going to vary according to the terms of your operating agreement. But it's essential that you follow the exact rules laid out in that operating agreement. If your agreement said something like it requires a vote to vote members in, you will still need to follow this step. And again, just follow along with any other rules that it might lay out. Okay, last but not least, you are going to need to update your information with the IRS. So if you are going from a single member LLC to a multi-member LLC, you should have gotten your EIN number originally. That's a big no-no. If you don't have that, you need to go get that right now. But if you did file for your EIN or register for your EIN number as a single member LLC, then you're going to have to go in and update your information with the IRS, because now the IRS, or in their eyes, they're looking at your LLC as a partnership now rather than just a sole proprietor. The IRS has really simple, easy to fill out additional forms on their website for these scenarios. So you can just go in and you can just search adding additional members to my LLC and you will find the information that you need right away. It'll just pop right up. But again, it is crucial that you don't forget that step, because the IRS is going to be very interested to know when your LLC has moved from a single member LLC to a multi-member LLC. Of course, it goes without saying, most likely, but if you are just simply adding another member to an already multi-member LLC, so say you have 2 members in your LLC and you're wanting to add a third, you will not need to you won't need to file any additional paperwork with the IRS. In their eyes, you haven't changed. So that's all I have today. It's super simple, but this is a question that I get asked quite a bit, especially by businesses that have been around for a little while and are now looking to expand and to grow, which is an exciting time. Again, it's just important that, of course, you do it legally right the first time, and you won't have to go back and fix your mistakes later on down the road. If you have any questions for me, you can always reach me at hello@pagehulse.com, and I will be back next week. Thanks.